So welcome to the August edition of Texas Leadership Network Mastermind Group. I think everyone's been here before, but just in case you haven't, I'd like for you to see these beautiful updated slides. So I'll go through what in the world is a mastermind and why we're all here in the first place. So just so you know, we do meet on the second Thursday of every month. A different coach from the Texas Leadership Network will facilitate the conversation that we're having. We always try to get that out in front of you via email, who's going to be speaking and what the topic is by about 10 days out of the mastermind. And we always open registration the first day of the month. So you can grab that as well. I think those probably, or no, the registration opens the week after the presentation for that month. So what in the world is a mastermind? It's, you know what, it's a group of people just like us getting together to talk about a topic, share ideas, share knowledge in spaces, and also solve challenges. Some of us may come with a challenge that we need some help with, and that's really what this is about. So no stupid questions, no dumb answers, and everyone's respectful of others. That would be the group basics, right? So please don't be a clam and not speak. And by the way, for those of you who have been here when I facilitate, everyone talks. Hiding in the background is not allowed when I facilitate. So just so you know, if you haven't been here before when I'm facilitating. Beyond that, beyond sharing skills, we are here to network, and we can create accountability systems here. If you take away a challenge or an action from the talk today, you can certainly lean back on us or someone else in the group to help hold you accountable. Since we have such a small group, and I realized that Brad and Greg don't even know each other, they introduced themselves before everyone else got on, but I think we can and have time to do a quick round of introductions, because I would love for you guys to meet each other and be able to network today. So Greg, you're in my top left Brady Bunch squares. If you'd like to introduce yourself first, that'd be awesome.
Sure. I'm Greg Alt with, I'm the owner and CEO of Keystone Paramount Consulting Group. We are a fractional CFO consulting firm, meaning that we help clients understand their financials and help do some internal organization for their internal folks, as well as do some accounting work for them to help them get their books in order if they don't have someone in-house.
Awesome. And Greg, you're in Houston, right? Proper.
Yes, I'm in Houston. Yes, west side of
Perfect.
Houston.
So if we get one more person on, we will have Brady Bunch squares. Just saying. I think everyone here knows me, but for those who may be watching the recording back on this, my name is Trisha Stetzel, and I'm the other half of Team Stetzel, and we're representing Focal Point Coaching of Southeast Texas, which covers just about everything south of Houston down to Brownsville. Brad Bricker, would you introduce yourself, sir?
I am Brad Bricker with CMIT Solutions. We're a technology services company, IT service for business. Our slogan, we worry about IT so you don't have to.
Where are you at, Brad?
Clear Lake area.
Perfect. Excellent.
Like service pretty much anywhere with our franchise system of stuff. So through my referral network,
Yeah,
nothing's off limits.
I love it. And Dennis and I met Brad through Toastmasters at the Clear Lake Area Chamber. For those of you who are curious, Mr. Brian Weaver.
Well, howdy. I'm Brian Weaver. I'm with Focal Point Business Coaching here in the Woodlands, Texas. And Brad, I love you in Outlander.
You need to show a picture, and maybe a picture of you with your beard too, so we can make fun of you, Brian.
Yeah.
And
So
Brian,
the ladies on the phone know exactly what I'm talking about with Outlander, because my wife makes me watch that one.
And Brian is also a fellow Navy veteran.
Yeah.
Miss Kristen.
Hi, I'm Kristen Day. I own a marketing firm. I help small businesses with their online presence through website development, website maintenance, SEO, and paid ads on Google. I don't watch Outlander, Brian. However, I have been familiarized with it because I go to the Scottish Games in California every year, and we did have a couple of the stars that came out and helped promote the event. So it was kind of cool learning a lot about it. My dad actually watches it. I also have a firearms business here locally in Dickinson, Texas. I pretty much travel around the north side, south side, east side, west side of Houston, which could take days or years depending on the traffic, but helping empower women and licensed to carry as well for men and women. So pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Kristen. And Kristen and I met through, I don't know, a whole bunch of people. I think everyone I know told me I needed to meet you. And Kristen, you also have a women's group that you facilitate as well, right? Yeah.
Well, I have my own WTF Kristen for my firearms training, part of networking as well. And I know Brad from networking. Of course, I met Trisha and Dennis from networking, and networking. So yes. And I even met Karen on the north side, ran into her haphazardly. Yes, at another event. Yeah, through a mutual friend. Ironic.
That's awesome. Cool. All right, Karen, you're up next.
You walk into a room, you hear this voice and say, I know that voice. I know that voice. But why do I know that voice? Okay. It was a pleasure seeing Miss Kristen on the north side. I am Ambassador Karen McCoy with the Ladies of Justice. And we mean justice. So if you'd like to have low risk in your business, let me know so we can talk about how I can help you protect and grow your business. August is National Make Your Will Month. Do you plan on leaving a mystery or you plan on leaving a legacy? I can help you with that as well. I'm also a mobile notary. So if you need things on the north side of mobile notary, I can help you out on the north side. All right. Love you. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Oh, one more
Karen.
thing. I'm a former Toastmaster, 12 years.
Wow, Karen, that's cool. I love it. All right, Crystal, how about you?
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Crystal Runge. I am also a certified coach with Focal Point. I'm located here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, more specifically Denton, so a little bit north. So yeah, excited to be here.
Awesome. Thanks for being here today, Crystal. And for those of you who are like, who in the world is Trisha? She's Trisha without the T. She is our amazing virtual assistant who is the one that takes these videos and fixes them up and gets them posted back out on our TLN YouTube page as well as our LinkedIn page. So thank you, Trisha, for doing amazing work for us and the whole Texas Leadership Network team. All right, let's talk about AI. And I'm just talking about the basics, right? And we don't have to dig into what they're doing in the movies, which is not the kind of stuff we're using in our businesses or as business leaders, right? So I've got 3 questions that I want to throw out there. What is the role of AI in businesses or even leadership roles in bigger businesses? What are the benefits of using these tools, and what tools are available, and what kind of tools is everyone using or have tried that may be working in your business? So when we talk about what is the role of AI in businesses, I just jotted a couple things down here, 3 things specifically: automation and efficiency, data-driven decision making in your business, and then personalization and even customer engagement. Do these mean anything to you, or what else?
Trisha, I really like that personalization customer engagement. When you did a video last week, a couple weeks ago, whatever it was, talking about AI stuff, really about how you can use it in order to better reach into maybe an industry or a segment that you're not usually reaching into. So I love that piece of it, and that's for my business. That's where I see that as probably the best use of it.
Yeah, I like that. Awesome. Is anybody using tools for content creation? Kristen?
Yeah, and I'm kind of on the I would say I've had a lot of negative experiences with AI, and that's probably because of some of what I do. There's a lot of concerns that I have with it as far as where are they pulling their material from? Is it copyright information? Are you getting your images from that? I also do ads on Google, and I believe the bots are really doing a lot of the work for Google, which constantly drags me into appeals, having to fight that because it's like, oh, you're selling commercial property or you're selling property, it must be residential. So we're going to flag you for these reasons because that's against our terms and conditions for, XYZ, but it has nothing to do with housing. It's commercial property, the gun space, that's another issue. And just a lot of international, or not saying that, hiring overseas is a bad thing, but when you're dealing with either AI and robots and, people who don't native speak and that are paid low to do low hanging fruit, you're missing out on the higher tech issues that people are having. And we're just getting more and more frustrated. So that's kind of like where I'm at. I use a lot of tools, not necessarily like they were before AI became like AI, of just to making our lives easier. Like I think most of us do as well, of just using tools. We don't necessarily see it as AI, but there's just a lot of stuff out there. And I think it's going to be there's some good, and then there's definitely some bad, but I just don't know that people see past I can write books and all this stuff, and you're like, where are you getting this information? So it's a lot of opening up those cans of Pandora's box more than a can of worms. So
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree with you. Good, thanks, Kristen. Brad, how about you?
I don't really use it much. It is, I think, going to be a concern that the hackers are going to start using AI to target and find information to infiltrate your systems. I've tried a couple things with it to like help with some documentation or something, and it needed a lot of help to be useful. So up in the air whether it's that part of it's beneficial. But the search engines, they're all using AI to help us. Google and Bing that's AI. So just our simple searches, that's helpful.
Yeah. Did everybody get the little thing from Google this week that said, hey, choose your preferences on, do you want to see ads based on your searches? Did anybody else get that?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe
Tons of
it
stuff.
was trash.
I get tons of it. We're updating our XYZ and all that. But I get one for every client. So I get tons of it. I just kind of store it.
Okay. Yeah. The one that I got, which I thought would benefit me, and I did adjust my preferences because I don't want ads based on my search criteria. I just don't want ads at all, but I'm sure I'm still going to get them. So I was able to go into Google and adjust those, but I'm sure it was AI that pushed that out, right? I'm assuming they're not going to send those out individually. Yeah. Thanks, Brad. I never thought about it from an IT perspective and using it in a negative way.
And I tried one of the chat GBT, I think it was, to do some like help with some announcements and some little marketing tidbits. And after reading them, it was like, no, I don't feel comfortable with this, and just stopped it because it was, no. And then I'm always leery of connecting new apps that might be to help with handling transactions and stuff, and with clients' financial data. And like Brad said, hackers coming in and using that as the back door to get financial information, which could also include social security numbers and personal information. And I'm not at that point where I want to take that chance.
Yeah, that's scary. So Greg, are there any AI tools that are related to the work that you do?
Not that I have seen, but I have not done a lot of research into it at all. It's, I know there's stuff out there. I'm not going to be the guinea pig.
Well, and Kristen alluded to this. Now it's public, right? Everybody's got it, and we're opening Pandora's box. When anybody made a reference to AI, the only thing that I could think of was, or the only thing that would pop into my mind was content creation. But there are so many other tools associated with AI that are out there that can be beneficial to business for sure. Karen, how about you? Not playing in the space? You're muted, my friend. Karen.
We didn't hear you, Karen. You're muted, boo.
I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm saying no, I'm not using anything to my knowledge, but like that person just said, I could be using it and not realize I'm using it too. So
Yeah, I think there's some tools out there, and it basically takes in data, makes some analytical decision, and spits something back out, right? For you. So it's just like Google. Who said that? I think that was Brad. You do a Google search, or maybe it was Kristen. You do a Google search, they're using AI in the background, right? How do I match your search to what you're looking for? And then it spits something back out.
Well, and it's been like that for some time, but they've also constantly changing it. So it used to be like modifiers. So if you type in, like, let's say IT technology, but you get all this stuff from all these different things. And let's say you're like, okay, plus small plus business, it means that any search comes in. Well, they've removed the plus modifier. So you can't do that anymore. And they're changing, like, I run ads and I don't do broad anything, meaning like open-ended. So like, and you could have a term A, B, and C. If anybody puts B in there or C in there or A in there in any order, it returns your search. Well, I don't want anybody searching for, any kind of combination. I want specific combinations. So you have phrase match. Well, the AI keeps pushing me to say, your ads will run better with broad match. I'm like, no, I'll spend more money with broad match. So they're making it, I think, even harder and harder for small businesses or businesses, so that they can pad their, in my opinion, pad their stuff. But, so yes, AI is definitely, and I think too, Karen, you're probably using it. Anybody do one of those chats where it says, how can we help you? And I'm like, I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to a person. Give me a person. And then they keep redirecting you because they're pulling what you're saying or what you're typing in and then determine the best result from that. Well, it's not always the best result. And, people want people. And so again, going into the whole thing of we're being forced into AI and less personal communication or assistance, which is making it harder for business owners and humans to go about life when they need things. I can go on all day. Sorry.
Kristen. No, it's good. It's good. Crystal, what about you? Any input here on AI?
I mean, I've plugged some things into Chat GPT. Some of us have kind of been playing around with stuff. My kids, which are 9 and 11, have kind of gotten on board with that. So they'll put stuff in there. I think, I've had some concerns about it. I saw a headline not too long ago about it, like where I want to say it was at Texas A&M or something, like when they were doing finals. There was a way that the teacher was able to go in, the professor was able to like load the essays that were turned in, and like 90% of them were written by AI, which I found to be very interesting. So I think it could potentially serve a purpose, but I think there are, like other people have expressed here, there certainly could be some concerns. But if you're using it for something fun, it can be a little bit fun sometimes.
If I say Alexa too loud, will everyone's Alexa go off? No.
No,
So
I've
that's
renamed mine.
another
Don't let that
one.
in my
I don't
house.
have those. Not in my house.
Not in your
We don't
house.
have
But
those.
that's another one though. I'll get these alarms on her, and she'll say, "You bought so and so such and such last month. Would you like to buy it again? I'll add it to your cart for you." And I'm like, oh, my head's exploding, right? But the things that we use on a daily basis that make our lives easier, that's AI, right? It is. Because it's taking the things that you're doing. And oh, by the way, who has ever had a conversation about, let's say, I'll give an example. Dennis and I were talking about pontoon boats one time. We've never searched for one. We've never looked for one. We didn't even want to buy one. We were just having a conversation. He started getting ads, and this was not online. We were having a verbal conversation in our kitchen.
With Alexa listening to
She
you.
was listening, and she started putting ads out there, right? So the things that actually help us are listening and doing this AI in the background, right? To get us to buy more or to profile us and sell us something, right? Out there. But there are good things, right? There are definitely good things about having AI, and some of the benefits that I threw in here, which there are a million of them, but the three that I pulled out are scalability, cost savings, and competitive advantage. What do you guys think about? So we talked about there's some bad things about it, right? And kind of the role that it plays, but what are the benefits of AI specifically for your business?
Well,
Sorry, go ahead.
but
Go ahead, Brad.
so one of the tool vendors in my space, they offer a product like for help desk. So those little bots that you hate talking to, but if that helps troubleshoot and lead you to the solution for your whatever your problem is that you're having. That, I don't have that tool, but
Yeah, I like it. Bots, right? That's a really good one, Brad. And especially if you're a solopreneur and you're in the business of being the technician and the owner and the manager, if you have a tool like that, then you don't have to necessarily hire a person. You can use the bot to get them to a certain point, and then you would engage as necessary. Yeah.
take out those level 1 questions, password reset stuff. But
Yeah, I like it. That's awesome. Good. Brian?
Well, I think it's not really my business today, but if I go back in past businesses, one of the things that we were dealing with AI and machine learning, that other piece of AI, was how do you make more predictable analysis and predictable decisions when it comes to big pieces of machinery that can fail. So things that are prone to failure, things that go roundy a lot or vibrate a lot. They have failure mechanisms that you can predict using these machine learning and these AI tools, which saves you in downtime. It saves you for your maintenance costs. So you're no longer doing calendar-based maintenance. You're doing things based upon when do I really need to do it based on the use of the machine. So there's a lot of great advantages there. Everyone thinks about ChatGPT as AI. There's really big industrial sort of uses for AI and machine learning out there that can save us a lot as an economy.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Brian. So Greg, I'll come back to you because you're not using any tools in this space. Are you recognizing that there may be some tools out there that could be utilized in the accounting space or this?
I'm sure there is. Like I said earlier, I just haven't explored them. And it could potentially be a cost savings for my business. But there's even with, and I'll use QuickBooks as the example, because a lot of people on this call might understand what QuickBooks is and how it works and stuff. And you can set up rules and it'll has its own kind of built-in learning that it can say, okay, these transactions are supposed to go to this thing, and do you want us to automatically post them? Well, that might be true 95% of the time, but there's still a lot of that going in and reviewing to make sure that everything was, if those rules are in place, and that is kind of that machine learning has been done. They don't always catch the transaction correctly, and they don't always put it into the right account. And so there's still a human interaction that you have to do, unless it's a very small business and they have only 5 to 10 vendors. Will it work perfectly? but anything above that with you, random customers, random vendors, there's still a lot of manual aspect to what we do. On that, I'm thinking of the accounting, just day-to-day grunt work accounting.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Greg, or I fall into the same, I guess, school of thought as you. And I'll say it, I don't want AI to replace humans, right? I'd like to be able to use AI to supplement humans or maybe save time, help us scale, find a competitive advantage, but replacing humans altogether, we're definitely not ready for that. Yeah, I see in my QuickBooks, these things pop up and I'm like, I paid who? No, I didn't. I didn't pay that person that money. That is completely wrong. The rules, and I know the rules are set up properly. So I totally get what you're saying there. And even back to Alexa asking me the craziest stuff. She's like, you listen to music all the time. Would you like to upgrade so you can listen to different music on every speaker in your house for $15 a month? And I'm like, no, I've told you that like 25 times. You didn't learn the first time, right? So yeah, I totally get that. What about you, Kristen? What about benefits of using these tools in your business?
Well, I was going to say too, a lot of the things that we probably use that we don't really realize it's AI, but like automation tools, like you're sending out those emails. I'm sure your VA uses them as well, but I use Active Campaign and flowcharts, and so when you respond this way, then you get this. So now, granted, you have that front end stuff, so it kind of goes back to your scalability. It's processes that a lot of us have probably made over time, learning that I'm doing the same thing over and over and over. So there's that. As far as the new AI, like the Chat GPT, is kind of finding new ways to say things. You know how like we have the one thing, if you're playing a game or you've got this one thing stuck in your head and you're trying to think of that actor, you keep getting that one thing stuck in your head, you can't think of another one, and you say, you search, who would be a similar to XYZ or whatever. It kind of gives you, it gets out of your something different that you wouldn't have thought of. So rewriting ad copy, or thinking of headlines for social media posts, or kind of going back to Greg's thing is about the email marketing of sending out an email, but saying it maybe a little differently. And it's just going to be a matter of people learning how to do the prompts properly, and that you're not having to restart each prompt over and over and over. They give you a certain thing and you're like, okay, now in a different voice, like think of like you're a tax professional, like I want it in that kind of voice, or I want it more fun, or so it's adding on to that. So I think that there is still a lot to it, but people have to be educated in it, and they see, I think, this as a just do it for me. And that's where we are in this era, is give it to me right, and do everything for me. And so they're seeing like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing, but you still have to work. You still have to provide that. We need the human part. So
Yeah,
I think there's still really a lot of good in it, but you just got to be careful because there's a lot of not.
Yeah, I agree, Kristen. Anytime I talk to people about these content tools that are out there, I tell them, don't be lazy. Use the tools exactly the way you were talking. Like, give me a different view on XYZ, or give me some bullet points on, or even if you do ask it to write a dang blog for you, don't copy and paste the darn thing. It's not in your language. It's not written by you, and you need to adjust that, right? So use it as an idea place. I've even used it for customer profiling, for ads, right? So give me a profile for an attorney, and it'll give me a profile for an attorney, and then I'll say specifically for estate planning. That's great. Well, then how do I write an ad as a business coach to that profile?
Exactly.
And it will give me some information back, right? But that's what I'm using it for, and not the copy and paste, right?
Right.
But it's so easy. And to Crystal's point, she was talking about, that teacher running these essays through some kind of tool, and 90% of them, 90% were just straight plagiarized, right? And I even worry, like Greg, using any parts in whole from a chat GPT or something that's produced. And I would encourage all of you to go, Grammarly now has a free tool that will pick up on plagiarism, and it's free. So you can go run something through that. Now, I'm not telling you it's 100% perfect, but if you're picking up a couple of sentences from content creation, you want to go check on that, because somebody will come after you. I promise. You use their stuff, even though you didn't know you were using it because some tool gave it to you, they'll come after you. Kristen, you've probably seen it a lot where people are using photographs and
Oh,
they come
gosh.
after you for a photo, right? It's
Well, a lot
terrible.
of that is spam, actually. So it's like, you've downloaded this photo and they want you to download it. I'm like, nope, not gonna check that.
And
Nice
don't do
try.
that.
But there's lots of there's lots of plagiarism tools out there. I've dropped in Copyscape, which is one of the ones that I use. It's basically
you, Kristen.
it's content that you already have on your site. I use this to explain to some of my clients that they really need original content, because you have those templated sites like an insurance agent who gets a website from an insurance or a website company that does insurance sites. I was like, okay, this is great and everything, but they've inserted your name and your city into 90% of your pages, and the same content is yours on every page. Here, let me show you. And then the other one is there's a, just like Krista was talking about too, is the AI detector. Just like with Google, Google's AI, but they don't want all AI content. They want human content, because they want content that's valuable to consumers, and what's valuable to consumers is going to return the results. But if you've got all this AI content on there because everybody's doing AI, they're saying that your return, your SERP is not going to be as favorable as somebody else's who's actually got real content. So again, read it.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Thank you. So Karen, any thoughts around the benefits of using AI maybe in your business?
It hasn't come to me yet, so I'm still trying to understand the whole process and figure out where it needs to be at, if it needs to be there or not.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's okay, right? This is all brand new. And like Kristen said it best, we've opened Pandora's box, right? And in the generations that we have right now, they want done for you, right? They do. And a lot of us have fallen into that same space. I don't have time, so I just like it done for me. And hopefully we don't go out and hire professionals that are getting done for you from a chat GPT or someplace else, right? We want real content writers, or people like Kristen who write real blogs and help us with SEO and web pages, right? Without doing that. And Greg, who's looking at every line item and making sure that it's right from a bookkeeping perspective, and creating a real plan when it comes to financials, looking forward, having a strategic plan and not just guessing, right? And using something else. Crystal, how about you? Benefits of AI for you?
I mean, we started using more bots and, kind of the data analytics like Brian had mentioned in my prior career. I think for things that are, processes and procedures that you do over and over and over, I think that it is great technology for that, just to help reduce as much of the redundancy in each of those processes and procedures. So, building that machine that does the learning, that says, oh, okay, so when you want this, I need to go do this, this, and this. So I think that's where it, could certainly drive to the scalability, just trying to eliminate the redundancy and, your everyday process and procedures.
Yeah, absolutely. So Karen wrote identity theft. And that's huge. That's a huge topic, right? Based on what we're doing here, because everyone's listening, everyone's watching. And what are people actually asking these tools to do for them? And where is that getting captured? And whose names are they putting in there? What type of information are they sharing? Right? Yeah, Karen, that's huge.
I have a joke
Huge.
for you. I have a joke for y'all real quick.
Okay.
The father told the son a joke. The son laughed, the dad laughed, and Alexa laughed.
Karen, you don't have Alexa in your house, do you?
Oh no, because I say too many things that nobody needs to hear except my house, okay?
Oh, Karen. Oh, I love it. All right. Well, the last topic is really about tools and what's available. What could we be using? What should we be using? What shouldn't we be using? And maybe ways we shouldn't be using them. The ones that I captured are the chatbots. We talked about that. Virtual assistants, and I'm not talking about humans, right? But virtual assistants as AI, which looks similar to a bot. Automated content generation, we've talked about that. And then image and video analysis tools. Any thoughts around either these or anything else? Greg?
So on the image and video analysis tools, there's been several articles out that that there have been higher detections of levels of with mammograms, higher levels of detection, early detection for breast cancer. And I think that's amazing. And I'm 100% for that. If they can help save one more life, I'm good with that. I have no issue with that at all. Because you know, having lost my mother to breast cancer 20 some odd years ago, that is a great tool. Maybe they would have caught hers earlier if they had those tools to do that, whether it's breast cancer or other types of cancer. Go for it. But utilize them in fields where it can be needed and helpful, and make sure that it does not become detrimental to our everyday life.
I like that. Thank you, Greg. That's awesome. What else? Y'all know I'm the queen of silence, right? I'll just sit here and smile till somebody says something. Kristen can't stand it. Just say something, girl. Just say something.
I was trying to wait for everyone else because I've said so many
Okay.
different things. Just make sure if you guys, as far as images and tools, make sure you use paid sites because we were just looking at a commercial site and somebody said, hey, you know, I think this is a copyright infringement, is a team meeting about a client that we're working on. And they're like, oh, it says like Pixabay, it says you could use it. And then when you go into their terms and conditions, it says, unless you're using it for commercial property, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what about this? So like, good catch, removed it off the website. So you get all those free sites. They say they're free, but you have to look at the content, you know, the rules for how you're going to use that content. And I always suggest paying for pictures or taking them yourselves. So.
Thank you, Kristen. Brian, any thoughts here around tools?
Not more than what we've already talked about. I don't get into the image stuff. I'm just like I said, the content generation is good, but to me, it's just a starting point where you can save yourself 30 minutes of trying to do research and things like that. It gives you something now you can put in your own voice. So
yeah, absolutely. Even talking points, right? So a customer, a client, as coaches may ask us for a particular topic. Hey, can you do a presentation on X? You could go to one of these tools and say, give me the top 3 challenges around X, whatever that topic is. And then you could create a presentation around that, right? Now, everyone should know that if you're using something like ChatGPT, and I'm not familiar with any of the other content creation tools, but it's looking at data from 2 years ago or even 3 years ago, I think, when it's giving you information, unless you pay for the newer versions. So just be aware that if you're using it to help you or guide you on current topics or current events, that it may be behind. Yeah, depending on which tools you're using.
But remember the old adage, if it's on the internet, it must be true, right? So, I mean, let's be real, like even Wiki, it's like a lot of these sites are self-contributed. So I can write this great bio about myself, but is it real? I mean, like ultimately everything that news used to be news. Now it's more biased and, opinion. It's not really news, it's opinion. And so but ultimately that's what a lot of it is. So that's my huge concern too for content. It's like, okay, well, this sounds really good. Yeah, it might need some cleaning up and less fluffy stuff, but where are you getting this information? It's like, can you cite your sources, please? That's what I want. Give me your sources. Because I don't know, when you guys do research for stuff, like, okay, I want to, learn about whatever, cancer, research or whatever. And then it's like, you look at the title or the link of where it's pulling it from, and you're like, oh, okay, well, maybe this is not a valid resource. So it's like, where's the resource coming from? Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Crystal, what about you? Any tools that you're using?
I mean, like I said, for my business, I really haven't used the, I could see where it could potentially be valuable from a content creation standpoint. I have a good friend of mine. She actually had stumbled across a video on Instagram and had shared it with me. And it was really, because it was something that was, along the lines of what she does. So she works for a company that does their own, like, very high quality, very branded, customized, hats. Basically, they're like baseball hats, but they're very extremely customized. So she does a lot of like marketing, and they do photos and things like that of their products. And so she had stumbled across this video, and I thought it was really cool. She was like, wow, I didn't realize you could use it in this way, where it was like, okay, write me a marketing program for, athletic apparel. And then like it would kind of pull up some things. Okay, now show me this in gray, or show me this in red. And so just her kind of going through and being able to see a demo of, how that could be utilized within her business, that was pretty interesting to her. But I mean, I think to everyone's point, you have to use it for what it is. Take what's good, leave what's bad, I guess is kind of my opinion on it. But it's interesting really to see what all it can come up with.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other thoughts, Brad, from you on AI?
I was checked out there for the last few minutes.
That's
but,
all right, I saw.
yeah, it could be helpful, but just with a grain of salt. And I think there's a lot of unresolved legal issues that are going to be, like you referred to, like plagiarism. It's like, is it plagiarism if I instructed the bot or the AI to create this, my content, that it created it on my behalf, so it's my content, even though it may have violated somebody else's copyright because it copied that stuff from somebody else. So there's going to be a lot of legal things, I think, to shape up. And then just because America makes some laws, we live in a big world that not everyone in the world is going to follow US law. So
That's absolutely true, right? Yeah, there are a lot of implications here, I think, in using it and just being careful. And just always my best advice is don't be lazy. Don't be lazy. Crystal, I love your example of how somebody could use one of these tools to get ideas about marketing. I think that's amazing. And by the way, if you're solo in your business and you don't have anybody to bounce ideas off of, this could be very useful in your business, right? So long as you're not being lazy, looking for it to do it for you, right? Karen, any other thoughts as we've had this conversation? It's like, no, I'm still not getting an Alexa.
Still not there yet, but it's informative, and because of Kristen putting links in there now, I have more information to go look at stuff.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, Kristen, thanks for putting that out there. So somebody wrote an entire book, Kristen, on becoming a ChatGPT millionaire?
It was actually a quick read. I did it on Kindle, but it actually shows you somebody going through in different scenarios, going through kind of like what Crystal was just talking about, the prompt process of, and how to get it in different voices and how to target a different market. And because you've already created these portfolios, or personas and et cetera. So it's kind of interesting. And, he would put like parts of it. So parts of the pages were, basically regurgitated stuff, but it was interesting nonetheless, because, you get something like this and people think the laziest version of just like, write me a book about underwater basket weaving. And you're like, should be done, and it's like, not quite like that. And I think it's going to take the lazy out of people when they realize how much you're like, okay, write me an outline. Okay, now expand on point one and then talk in this voice and do this and add more. And then you've got to review it all. And, but it was a good read. It was short. As far as the content, because, you're not going to read all of its prompts, but, some of the stuff came back and you need to do your due diligence too. But it was a good read though.
Good. That's awesome. Anything else on AI? Was this a good topic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
And
great.
Crystal, I will tell you that I do know for sure that there is an app that teachers use, because my sister-in-law uses it as an English teacher in Austin, and she's caught her kids basically kind of plagiarizing and pulling. Even a sentence will get flagged if it is tied to something that is on, and whatever that criteria is, it'll even tag a sentence within a paper if it matches it. It's interesting.
I think that's good to hear. I mean, like I said, I have children that are 9 and 11, so they haven't really gotten to the advanced stage of writing and things like that yet. And middle school and high school, my oldest has started middle school today, but I think it's good that teachers have these tools to really check that. Because I want my kids to actually learn. I don't want them to just go use ChatGPT and take this canned response and then that's what they turn in. Like, that's not acceptable to me as a parent, because you need to do the research in order to really write and have an understanding of the topic that you're writing about. You do need to do the research. So I think it is good that teachers have these tools to be able to stop that. And I wonder at what point I will potentially be notified about my children doing that. But I think as a parent, then it's my responsibility to get in front of them and say, no, this is not how you're going to do this. You are actually going to do the research. You can use this resource to help maybe give you some different ideas, or like Trisha said, give me some different points, talking points, like that's fine, but not to do the entire thing for you. So.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So I'd like to leave with this. By the way, I'm so smart. I finally put a QR code on the slide so you can go and find the darn. And will somebody test it for me? Because I'm an administrator on the LinkedIn page. So I want to make sure it actually goes to the user page. If somebody will check out that QR code for me. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So if you're not already, cool. Thanks, Brad. If you're not already following our LinkedIn page, please do. We put these recordings back out there, and I post a few other things that you might be interested in. So we've got 6 minutes left, and we've been talking about AI and robots and content creation and all of the things that are happening in the background. But I think we all know that human relationships are really what matter. That's why we're here, right? Building relationships and talking to people. So I'd like for you guys to think about somebody that you haven't talked to in a really long time, and they're on your mind. And I want you to have a name in mind. And I challenge you to reach out to them today or tomorrow and just say hi, that you were thinking about them. That's it. Either call them, text them, send them an email, whoever they are. And I would just encourage you to reach out and say, hey, I was thinking about you, because you just did. It's not a lie, because I just asked you to do it. I just asked you to do it. Does anybody want to share the first name of the person they'll be reaching out to either today or tomorrow?
Nick.
I like it. Thanks, Brian.
I haven't talked to my Aunt Debbie in a while, so I need to reach out to my Aunt Debbie.
Thanks, Crystal. Anybody
My
else?
girlfriend Petey.
I love it, Karen. Yeah, I saw something on Facebook yesterday. It said something about having grown-up friends, or being a grown-up and having friends, that you have to have grace and forgive the amount of time that you spend together or connect with each other. And it's okay, right? If we don't talk to each other for long periods of time, because we're grown-ups and we get busy. Yeah, thanks, Karen. Yeah. Kristen, you have a name? You don't have to say it.
Well, I have
Yeah.
lots of them. I already sent one of them a message, but I have to follow up for a meeting for next week. And so I did a plain, text, but I know people will respond to it. And then it gives me an opportunity to just, be more personal. So.
Love that. Thanks, Kristen. Greg, you have somebody in mind?
Yep, a friend of mine, Kim, we've been trying to connect for a while and haven't been able to. And we literally live like not even a half mile away from each other.
Yeah, it happens, right? Brad, how about you? You have a name?
Hey, my friend Joe.
Your friend Joe. I love that. So you guys will be, you might be interested to know that I texted my kid this morning because he never reaches out to me. And I actually texted him and his wife at the same time in a group text, and it said, hey, how are you guys doing? And we had a little chat, and it was cool. Right? And I reached out to somebody yesterday as well. And I like to do that when somebody pops into my mind, because I know there's some energy out there that's drawing that, right? And so I just try to do, like Kristen, like you, just a quick reach out, and then that way we can have a longer conversation. I like to do that.
I like that with social too. There's a reason sometimes they fall into your feed, and it might, instead of just liking, I'll just say, oh, you look great, or how you been lately? Or when I post a new picture, and of course you get the 5 million people that, comment on it, you look great, or, and I'm like, you couldn't even say anything. So I'll say, thanks. It's great seeing you. Hope you've been well, or, try to create a little bit of a dialogue than just, commenting on the picture. So.
I like that. Okay. It is all about human interaction. No matter what business you're in, you're selling something to a human, right? And it really is about having that connection to humans, even though AI is going to be and is a huge part of what we do or will do, right, in the future. So thank you guys for being here. I hope you enjoyed the topic. It was nice to see all your beautiful faces, and we'll see you on the second Thursday of September. Have a great one.
Awesome.
Take
Have a great
care.
rest of your August.
Bye-bye.
Nice.